All right, so Hell in a Cell last night. Just going to give my thoughts. I didn't think the show was that bad at all. I actually really enjoyed the show. Didn't like the DQ finish of the tornado tag. I was fine with Braun Strowman being the Viking Raiders mystery partner. In fact, I thought that was kind of cool and kind of fitting, actually. I feel like him and the Viking Raiders are a good combination, right? But yeah, so anyways, obviously, I'm just going to get right to it. Sasha Banks had the best match of the night. Bayley Charlotte had probably the second best match. The main event was the big thing, right? Now, going into this, I felt like there was no way Bray Wyatt was going to win. However, I thought maybe his character wasn't going to give a crap about the title, and I just thought the match, rather than even have an ending, I thought it was going to somehow be Bray Wyatt just destroying Seth and disappearing with him or taking him off to the back, and who knows, right? But I didn't think it was going to have a clean finish anyway. I just didn't know how they could do it, obviously. The match itself, I didn't think was that bad. I think the goal of it was clearly to establish Bray Wyatt's Fiend character as unstoppable, and they did that. And I was loving the kickouts. And we were watching it, about 6 of us, at a watch party at a friend's house. And every kickout, I loved it, and a few other people definitely loved it, it seemed. Everyone in the room didn't think the match was that bad. Nobody there was mad about even the DQ finish, really. Now, is it stupid? Yes, it should not have had a DQ finish. That was dumb. There's a lot of ways you could have ended this match with the exact same result, where Seth Rollins stays champ, the Fiend looks strong. And one of the ways is he hits him with the sledgehammer, just like he did, and pins him. He hit 12 curb stomps. That alone makes him look strong. You know, the sledgehammer shot makes him look strong. Like, that does not weaken the Fiend. That's not burying the Fiend. The other thing they could have done, when he stood over Bray Wyatt, or the Fiend, and hit him with the chair, he could have just done it again or just stayed there and kept wailing away. In fact, I thought he should have just been more intense. Rather than look confused and like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. He should have just nailed him a bunch of times with the chair or the ladder or the sledgehammer or whatever. And then maybe Bray Wyatt puts the mandible claw on him, but is laying on his back and therefore loses that way. You know, that at least is him not caring about the win, and he's still inflicting the pain on Seth Rollins that he wanted to do. And then after Seth Rollins finally collapses, he continues to beat him up because the bell's already rung. He already lost by pinfall. Like, that's how you could have done it and kept Seth Rollins strong, kept the Fiend strong, and, you would have been set. Like, now you got Seth Rollins still champ, the Fiend isn't, but he's unstoppable. Now, people are pissed because they're like, oh, the Fiend shouldn't have been in that match. No good could have came of this. It was too fast. Dude's the most over character in the whole company. It's not too fast. You put the belt on him. He's clearly unstoppable as the Fiend. His weakness is Bray Wyatt. He has a weakness. You can book him to lose. It's perfectly acceptable to have that. And that's my problem with WWE, really. Like, they don't really book based on guys having strengths and weaknesses. Whereas like New Japan, for example, you've got certain guys with weaknesses, right? Tanahashi is clearly one of the best guys. However, his age, his speed, his unwillingness to take crazy risks are his weaknesses. He's more steady, but his weaknesses are like his. He has a tough time against like Zack Sabre Jr., a submission specialist, and things like that. You've got guys with weaknesses. That's I think, far more interesting. It's kind of like the UFC model of 10 years ago. You'd have, hey, what happens when you put a wrestler in the ring with a striker, or a striker in there with a jiu-jitsu guy? You have combinations that clearly have strengths and weaknesses. I think that's missing from WWE. It's part of the problem with the 50-50 booking, because it has nothing to do with strengths and weaknesses. It's just literally like, okay, they're both going to go put on this match back and forth, but then somehow we just got to come up with a finish. The finish should make sense around guys' strengths and weaknesses. The characters aren't consistent in that standpoint, and that's why you get stupid finishes like last night's. But overall, I didn't think the match was terrible. I mean, it was nothing great. It's not like a 5-star match or anything like that. But I think it told the story they were trying to get across. I think that it could have been executed a little better. And I think the ending could have been definitely done better. I mean, clearly they went into it. Their objective was, we want to keep the belt on Seth, and we want the Fiend to look strong, right? So the only way to do that is to have the Fiend lose. Excuse me. The only way to do that is to have the Fiend lose in a dirty way somehow, right? The way they did it, where he wins, was just lazy. You could have done that in a normal match, sure. But to do that in the Hell in a Cell was just not the right way to do it. I agree. A Hell in a Cell should not be your first match in a feud. I know people like Jimmy Corderas and things like that say that on Twitter, but I didn't have a problem with that. It's a gimmick pay-per-view. You're going to have a Hell in a Cell main event. This isn't really the first time they've fought. They've even, through the Fiend's promos and stuff, insinuated this is a continuation based on past matchups and things like that. I still love the Fiend. I'm going to be getting WWE 2K20 because of the Fiend. That is selling that game for me. Outside of that, I'm not into WWE. And I'm not a WWE slappy. Or a WWE stan like people are saying. Last year, I almost canceled the network midsummer. I held on to it because of the Women's Evolution pay-per-view and was really wanting to cancel it leading up to that. And then I decided, you know what? Let's give them this WrestleMania run to keep me. And I wasn't satisfied. I watched through WrestleMania. I liked WrestleMania a lot. But after WrestleMania, I could tell nothing had changed. And so I canceled the network by the end of April, beginning of May. In fact, it was the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. Right before then, I canceled. And you get a survey of why you canceled or whatever. And I told them all my reasoning. One of them was the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. One of them was their booking inconsistency. I didn't like the 50-50 booking. I thought they could have done better with storytelling. All these things that I've said in these videos. So, and clearly they didn't do anything about it until AEW popped up and started doing their thing. So anyways, that's it. Those are my thoughts on the Hell in a Cell. I watched it at a friend's house. I have no intentions of getting the network. I had been considering it because I was like, oh, The Fiend is good. They're kind of doing a little bit better with their shows, but not really. Especially the Kofi Kingston match on Sunday or Friday. Don't even get me going there. He could have served kicking out of at least one F5 and maybe even getting some offense in to start that match. But yeah, the way they did that was bull crap. I'm not really interested in Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar in a WWE ring. And it's not because I dislike Cain or Brock. I actually like both. I liked Cain in the UFC. I like Brock Lesnar. I think his matches are really boring and lack... and I shouldn't say boring because they're usually short enough that it doesn't bore me. But they just lack creativity. They lack any substance. You kind of know what to expect going into it. Very repetitive. Which Brock Lesnar I've always really liked, and so it kind of bothers me that he's he wrestles the way he does right now. But either way, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't plan on getting the network anytime soon. So it is what it is. We'll see how they do through Royal Rumble and through WrestleMania. I think that's about how long it would take for me to decide to come back as a subscriber to the network. But yeah, that's it. So anyways, if you agree with me, feel free to comment below. Disagree, that's fine. I think the fans are overreacting a bit. I think it was a shitty finish to an okay match that told a story and got the objectives across. I think they could have ended it with Seth winning still by pinfall, which is what they should have done. Or, like I was saying mid-match, I could have saw him tapping out just because he felt like he couldn't beat the Fiend. You know, he got scared and just decided to tap out when the Fiend sat up or something. That would have been dumb, but at the same time, it would have made sense that he's terrified of the character. So he could have done something like that. All of us liked the red lighting, it seemed. I had said when they first got in the ring, I was like, oh, I hope they keep the red lighting, and they did. And a couple of us seemed to like it. But I could see why fans might not like it in attendance, because it might be hard to see. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, whatever. So, I think fans throwing stuff at Seth is kind of some garbage. It's like, why would you do that? It's not Seth's fault, you know? Chanting whatever you want after the show's off air, whatever. So, anyways, my son over here is acting crazy, both of them. So, I gotta go. But have a good one, guys, and I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Peace.